But in the Christian community that I was in at the time, they very much frowned on yoga. And I had some pushback, people telling me, oh, you're going down a dark path there and be careful and all these sorts of things. And I thought, what on earth are they talking about?
Hey everybody, our mission here at the Heart Coherence Collaborative is to get people in touch with the healing power of the heart.
And we really need your help. Right now, only 1% of viewers subscribe. We are aiming to take that number to 6%.
The reason why we want to do that is the more people that subscribe, the more people in the world can learn the magical practice of heart coherence.
So please help us out. If you've ever listened, if you love this message, please just take a moment to subscribe.
Thank you so much.
We love you.
Welcome everybody to the Heart Coherence Collaborative. We are excited and honored today to have our new friend Kellie Marie Kerr joining us. And we're really excited because Kellie's team reached out to us last year. And when we get a lot of people that reach out to us, but when we were reviewing like your work, we were like, oh my gosh.
I said,
like,
we're doing
this channel, your YouTube channel is really cool.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, definitely. So we've been kind of going back and forth and we finally got you on and we're really excited. And one of the things I'm most excited to learn about is this sacred energy that exists within us that you're an expert on. So a lot of my friends try our best to move this stuff up our spine and we do all these crazy things to harness this beautiful energy. But today we want to take a deep dive on what that energy is. So first, welcome. And how did you become such an expert on this?
So thank you for having me and for all those kind things you just said. That's really nice. Yeah, so for me, the sacred secretion journey began through a period of very deep seeking. I was raised in a Christian background, and the verse that kept coming to me was "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." And I was in a period of my life where I was at a crossroads. I was also feeling quite low, quite unsure of myself and my path and what that should look like. And I kind of knew that some of the things that I was doing weren't really resonating with my truth and that I was ready to let that go, but I didn't really know what that looked like. So I was really kind of just looking for something that would help give me clarity and help give me an even stronger connection to what I call God, divine source, true source, love, all the different wonderful names that we have for the kind of unknowable creative force behind everything. And I was doing a lot of yoga. My background as a yoga practitioner led me into finding the Essenes, which are known as the immovable light race. And they practice the perfecting and the purifying of the body to become like a much clearer vessel for divine downloads, for inspiration, to be really like on that path of alignment, with your highest self, your best, like, what is the best for you in the outcomes of that are possible to you in all these, multiple strands that are available in reality. And that really struck a chord with me. But in the Christian community that I was in at the time, they very much frowned on yoga. And I had some pushback, people telling me, oh, you're going down a dark path there and be careful and all these sorts of things. And I thought, what on earth are they talking about? In the most respectful way, I felt like this feels so good for me. I feel much more alive, much more, like my heart was expanding and I was seeing things more clearly, and just feeling generally that joie de vivre, that zest for life that we all really want when we get out of bed in the morning, right? There's nothing worse than kind of waking up and going, oh, so what shall I do today? Like, waking up and feeling like, oh, there's so much I want to accomplish today. You know, I'm going to be grateful for the blue sky, and I'm going to, you know, tackle my work with pride and all of these different things, and really lean into my relationships. And so I went on a bit of a quest to kind of prove that yoga was actually, you know, very acceptable for a Christian. And in doing so, I found the Essenes and their work as, you know, a primitive Christian sect, you could call them, although they did have a lot of influence from the East. They are very accepted in that way. And so my yoga kind of evolved into not just the physical asanas and the breath that goes with those postures, but more sitting and breathing, more sitting and chanting and singing and finding those vibrations and those frequencies that really were changing the alchemy of my body in a really profound way. And then one day it was just like a really mundane situation. I was getting ready for bed. I just had a shower, sat down, and I suddenly felt like these amazing waves of energy rising through my spine and seeping in my head, like feeling like hot oil. Or, I mean, to be honest, it felt like a hug, but like the most incredible hug that you could imagine, that just kind of engulfed my entire being. And I had quite a lot of grief and neglect that I was working through. And I suddenly felt so much love, not only that I was loved by others, but also that it was safe for me to love myself, and that, you know, the universe is love, and love is, you know, the main kind of creative force really behind all life. And it really just shifted my perspective on everything, and the sensations that I felt in my body were nothing I'd ever had before. So I found it a little overwhelming in that way, and I was like, what on earth is happening to me? And although I was doing Essene yoga, and there are kundalini practices in that yoga, they don't use that terminology. So I hadn't heard of kundalini and the types of sensations that can come with those kind of awakenings. So I was still like looking in my Bible to try and understand what I was experiencing, and I was searching for oil and, you know, movement in the spine and different things. And then I'd always been fascinated by the book of Revelations, because again, I thought, how can, you know, a loving God really, this book can't really be about end times. It can't really be, you know, about all this catastrophic stuff that, you know, it's like impending on humanity. That just didn't resonate well with me. And as I was digging deeper and deeper into that book, I found that I was seeing colors. I was seeing the chakra colors when I was reading about the churches. And I was starting to understand that this was an inward process that was happening in us. And the language that they were using, maybe because they didn't have other scientific language to use at the time, or maybe, you know, because it's a well-known thing that, you know, the Bible is written in parables, which are basically metaphors. But either way, you know, the kind of like the intellectual side of it is one thing, and it's very empowering in a way, but more so the embodying of it, and what you see and what you begin to understand coming, you know, from like a deeper wisdom that you kind of know is the truth, like a very sound knowing, is kind of like more what's brought me along my path. And then once I realized that what had happened to me was a sacred secretion event or a kundalini event, I then knew that one of my tasks here in this lifetime is to share about that and to talk about, you know, all the things that promote life and health and wellness that can shift the alchemy in others to help them let go of their own traumas and to help them ascend into new regions of consciousness where they feel more connected with themselves, more connected with source, more, you know, love and all these like beautiful emotions that kind of come as part of that, and really lean into the joy of life. So the first video that I released was a black and white explainer of the sacred secretion in biblical terms, because that's kind of how it was handed to me. Although obviously now, you know, I understand that it's in just about every religion and teaching under the sun since time immemorial. But that was my platform. I didn't quite realize how popular that video would be, because before that I used my YouTube channel to make self-tapes for auditions because I was an actress. So this thing went viral, and then I was like, oh my gosh, you know, this is helping other people in the same like incredible way that this has helped me. And then I was also writing anyway. I had a writing partner at the time, and we were trying really hard to make these treatments and scripts and pilots for different shows and films and things, and to pitch them to networks and everything else, and never really managing to make the progress that we thought we wanted at the time. So I kind of just shoved all that aside. It just seemed so like meaningless, and started penning the first book that I wrote about the sacred secretion, which is the God design. And it had like a kind of twofold purpose for me, because on the one hand, I was really shaping my thoughts and my knowledge and my research on it at the same time as I was saying to myself, I really want this to be understandable and digestible. And I really, you know, Spirit's telling me that the science needs to be there, but also that the scriptures need to be there. And, you know, to make it really accessible to all kinds of different people. So that's really how my journey began. And then the books and videos that I've made subsequently have all, you know, been fueled by that same fire to, you know, to share this beautiful thing.
It's such an amazing journey that requires a lot of bravery when you're in when you're in that Christian church setting, and people must have just been like, what the heck are you talking about? So I love this stuff. I went to Unity Church, so I love Charles Fillmore, and the uniting of Christian and Eastern practices seems really natural to me, but it might be the first time people are hearing it in that perspective. So I'd love to just hear you talk, to tell somebody who has no understanding of what sacred secretions are and the whole process that is harnessed and how that relates to Jesus. Can you give us, I know you could probably talk about this for 8,000 hours, but
That's okay.
for the new person, what are we talking about?
For the new person, we're really talking about the practicality of the scriptures, how the word is alive, like in us. And you know, with Charles Fillmore, he made the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, which has been an incredible tool for me in understanding a lot of the symbols and metaphors in the Bible as I've been going deeper. And so the sacred secretion is really the story of Jesus within you. So the alchemy of ascension that goes along with the journey of this baby who had to be born in secret and then shielded from an evil king, and then, you know, eventually was baptized at age 30 and had this profound ministry of healing and miracles and reaching so many souls with that, you know, that compassion of Jesus that, you know, we've all been made aware of, whether we believe it or not, you know, is an entirely different thing. And then that eventual, you know, climatic moment where he dies on the cross and is put into a tomb, and on the third day, as scripture says, he resurrected and, you know, became spirit, or became all. And then we're told in Luke that the spirit dwells within us and not to look anywhere else for it. So the sacred secretion practice talks about all the different characters of that story, primarily. I mean, it's in all the other Bible stories as well, but let's just focus on the Christmas nativity. So you have Mary and Joseph, which are symbolizing the pituitary and the pineal. Mary is known as the pure water, the pure ocean, and that everything comes from this mother substance. The pituitary secretes protoplasm in its most basic form, which has the 4 elements that everything else are born from. And then the pineal has this more electric, this more male quality, and it has serotonin, which is sero means seed. So you have this rebirth happening in you at all times through the secretions of those glands. And when we look at the story of Moses, we also see how the pineal and the pituitary reflect the milk and the honey, because again, the pituitary substance is this mothering substance that you could say is akin to a mother's milk. And the honey, the melatonin, mela actually means honey in Greek. And of course, a lot of the New Testament that we have in English came from the Greek. And then there are many other symbols. Some of the quite obvious ones are the fact that there's 33 vertebrae in the spine. Jesus lived for 33 years, so scripture says, and he was baptized age 30 in the River Jordan. The River Jordan in this scenario becomes the central canal of your spinal cord, where that holy baptismal water is, that CSF that literally cleanses our body throughout the day. It's continually turning over, helping us to stay alkaline or to keep our pH balanced and to promote our health at all costs, basically. And so at the 30th vertebrae, there's a parallel to the baptism, because the thyroid gland is parallel with that 30th vertebrae, and the thyroid has its own function that is very baptismal in the way that it produces thyroxine, and thyroxine clears the entire nervous system while we sleep, not just from physical toxins, but from the byproducts of our thoughts. So things that have happened throughout the day, you know, when you go to sleep and you're feeling a little like, oh, that was a sticky situation, I'm not sure how I feel about that, you know, but you wake up in the morning and you're not thinking about it anymore. That's because of these processes, part of our inner alchemy that's happening, you know, for us automatically. So it's like this automatic system of just, you know, health promotion and vibrancy, wellness promotion. And there are many, many other biblical symbols that tie in with this process as well. In the book of Revelation, I wrote, my second book is called Elevation, which is a metaphysical and alchemical breakdown of the Bible book of Revelation. So in there you have the 7 churches of Asia, which relate to the most 7 prominent chakras and the challenges that we have to overcome at to really open each chakra and to really balance the chemicalization that's happening. So yeah, the chakras we can really see as an energetic level in the body, and each chakra is aligned with a specific endocrine gland, and the endocrine glands are incredible because they're really what creates our picture of health as a vessel, you know. Each different secretion as it's popping off in alignment with those chakras is really altering our alchemical state toward ascension. So when we manage to balance cortisol and be more level-headed, and when our heart begins to swell because of, you know, heart coherence, which I know is the topic of this particular series that you're doing, when heart coherence really kicks in, it actually initiates more oxytocin to be released by the pituitary, which then actually stimulates pineal metabolism. And when the pineal is activated or stimulated in that way, it kicks into the DMT pathway. So the pineal actually manages to upgrade melatonin and serotonin into these incredible biochemicals of enlightenment, which I talk about in my books quite a lot. And the biochemicals of enlightenment, you do have the obvious one, which is DMT, the spirit molecule, which, you know, is really linked with that third eye and, you know, clairvoyance and really being able to sort of understand and see things very clearly in you know, kind of everyday life type way, but also in a very mystical, very exciting way. But then you also have luciferin, which is a bioluminescent molecule. So I believe that when the ancients were talking about enlightenment, that's where the term came from, because a lot of old testimonies that I've read talk about, you know, the brain filling with light and the body filling with light. And of course, you have this symbolism of seeing these saints with their halos. So I believe that when the chakra system is really open and really aligned, and so therefore the endocrine glands are really doing their job in the most optimized way, that you're secreting more DMT, more luciferin, and there are some others as well, but I don't want to overcomplicate things. It's actually creating a really like enlightening effect, like on a really, really literal level, you know, not just some mystical woo-woo thing, but like you are actually lighting up more of the neurons in your brain that way and having access to older memories that you might have forgotten, but also having, you know, better foresight to make decisions and to play things through to the end. And so really, you know, the sacred secretion is about those endocrine glands and about how we harmonize them and activate them to really build our alchemy of ascension as far as we can, to, you know, create this kind of like resurrection feel. And, you know, there are studies that talk about it going even deeper and, you know, you develop a solar body, but these are all ideas that I'm still exploring and coming to understand myself. But, you know, it's really exciting. It's a, you know, it's getting to be more well known, but it's not, you know, a huge like well-known field of like research. So very exciting.
So cool.
Yeah, I feel like this is the first time that anyone spoke in any of our interviews where I literally had like a bajillion questions arise while they were speaking. So I think we need to schedule legitimately like a 14-hour interview where I just get to process all this, because my mind is blown. You know, the one thing that came to mind is just I'm thinking about my life personally, And, you know, there was times over the last few years where I had a hard time meditating. You know, there's been times where I was really connected to that sacred secretion energy, but then there was times when I really couldn't access it. And so over the last few months, I've come off of caffeine, sugar, gluten, processed foods. And I am now back in my meditations, like in touch with the light, and it feels amazing. And so my question is it like our natural set point to just be more in touch with this energy? And are we kind of drowning it out with just, you know, all the processed foods and everything that's processed? How is all this stuff affecting the sacred secretion energy?
It definitely affects it. I know what you mean. Obviously, there have been times over the years where I've, you know, been on a hen do or gone away for a friend's birthday, and I haven't, my practice hasn't been the same as what it usually is. And so then I find I'm in like a hangover, but not like a hangover from drinking too much alcohol anymore. It's more of like a hangover from giving in to, you know, all of the things that surround us. And so you know, they say cleanliness is next to godliness, and in this practice of the sacred secretion, that could not be more true. So, I mean, caffeine is a chi blocker because it actually tricks you into thinking that you've got more energy than you've actually got by blocking certain receptors. And I'm not saying you should never have it, because it is also a strong antioxidant. So, you know, when you need it, it's fine. But like being a caffeine addict is definitely not the one. But then other things, even like the content that we watch on our devices, you know, fear mongering, high octane violence. Like if I watch like a violent action movie, my body responds, the alchemy of my endocrine glands responds in one way. It's dumping cortisol, it's asking, is this true? Should I be scared? Da, 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 da. I'm out of harmony. But if I watch something like, you know, really heartwarming, where, you know, people are complimenting each other, or, you know, something that doesn't put my alchemy into a state of shock, then it's I'm kept much more in harmony. And again, I do believe that we have the fight or flight response for a reason. But I think that nowadays we are privileged enough to live in a time where we can make choices. Of course, in our everyday life, when we're interacting with people, there's going to be triggering moments, because those are things we can't control. But we can control the choices we're making about what we consume as food substances and drink substances, but also as to what we consume on our screens, you know? Like having this discussion with you guys is amazing for my alchemy. You know, I can feel that like warmth in my cheeks, and I'm excited to share. Whereas, I don't know, a different conversation that I could have, or a different situation that I could be put in, could completely change all of that. So yeah, our choices are fundamental. Absolutely.
I hate that I hate that. Yeah, no, it's not a follow-up question, it's a comment. I hate that you said that, because I feel guilty. I finished one Netflix series that was good for my health, and then I switched to one that was a little more horror oriented, the Ozarks, and I'm kind of like feeling that maybe I should give that up, because there's a lot of, you know, dying people in that, so might not be great for my.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that we can't unsee things, and everything goes towards our overall understanding of, you know, consciousness. So again, I don't think that we need to take really extreme measures to say like never. I mean, maybe some people would, but I'm not at that stage for myself. My husband loves Ozark, and he was like, don't you want to watch it with me? And I was like, I'll give it a go. But I wasn't particularly like taken by it anyway. But it's, you know, it's just every day doing the best you can, I think. Like, you know, we don't always feel like, if we've had a long day, like turning on the telly and watching a documentary about juice or water or whatever, sometimes we feel like we just want to turn all that off and switch off. But of course, the ancients and the sages that wrote about these practices in the first place didn't have half the amount of distractions that we have nowadays. And as the sky and all of the shifts that are happening energetically change, sometimes I do wonder if there's more of a push of consumerism. If, you know, it's not such a coincidence that there's a major like media swarm like all the time. It's like we've all got 10 apps on our phone. Do we need 10 like apps to watch video content on? Like, you know, we do live in a very testing time, I would say, in that way. So like digitally detox and to, you know, again, like detox our bodies in terms of our nourishment as well. Like there is a very specific time that the ancients talked about, which is when the moon is in your sun sign. So I would say at the very least, use that as a window to just practice doing your sacred secretion practices, to practice making choices that really promote the alchemy of ascension and the balance of the endocrine glands and all of those things.
Mhm.
I would love to hear, you know, I think I hear from so many people in our group, and they hear people talking about these big experiences or kundalini experiences, and they feel this sense of jealousy or that it's not accessible. What does it really take if somebody is really wanting to make this connection and have these higher experiences? Because I know you've worked with different people and you're experienced in this. What's a reasonable thought about how much time and commitment to doing practices and maybe changing your eating or investing some time? What is a reasonable time that people can invest and they would get some kind of cool experience? Because I just hear from people all the time that are dying. Like they hear stuff like when you said your experience about, you know, you're feeling the oil and it's this whole thing. And people are just, they're so jealous and so wanting to have these experiences.
Wow, that's a really good question. I have been asked like similar stuff before because I think, you know, there is a longing for this connection, and it's a very subtle thing, like the shift. Like it's almost like if you're wanting for the climatic experience of the double helix on the spine and those things, it's almost like you're chasing it and you can't catch up with it. Because after the first time happened for me, I was like, right, what was I doing? What did I do that day? Found out about the moon, found out about the timing. I was like, yes, okay, you know, just like replicate this. And it took a while for me to sink back into that. Why am I doing this? What is my actual goal? You know, it's actually to know my path, to have a connection. It's not as amazing as those felt experiences are. It's not to always have that. So I think sometimes shifts happen in people that are way more subtle. And because they're not this big dramatic event, they slip out of that alignment and they kind of give up, right? But if they were to keep going and to keep the faith of, there's so many energetic levels of the things that people have been through and experiences and different conflicts that they're having in their own mind about things, that I wouldn't say you could honestly put a time limit on it. I think your heart needs to be pure, and that is one of the most important things about the sacred secretion. If you take all of the science and just put it aside, and this gland does this and this body part does that and da 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 da, and you just remember that really you just want divine love to manifest in your life and in the lives of people around you, then if you really lean into that feeling, you actually may realize that you're feeling subtle goosebumps, which is a sign of the kundalini, or that you are, feeling more hopeful and smiling for, again, they're signs of the sacred secretion, the kundalini rising. And also, going back to the media thing, there's a lot of talk about how these things are negative, and it's going to make you see this and do that, and it's going to be so hard and blah blah blah. That's a choice, because yes, it might raise some issues within us, like raw things that we haven't dealt with, but ultimately, if we keep remembering that divine love trumps all things, and that this is a journey of letting go and healing, then again, we're going to start to feel some of those tingly feelings. And it really begins with that, the tingles, the goosebumps don't lie. Is that what they say? Now, when I talk to someone who I'm totally not resonating with, I literally get a nervous twitch, because I'm
Yeah.
So, there are these weird side effects, because it's I don't want someone to notice me back away from them. But you just become way more in tune with what's good for you and what's not good for you, what's aligned and what's not aligned. And you make way more clear decisions, to let your yes be yes and your no be no, which is again a biblical scripture of knowing what your no's are, so you can be really clear on what your yeses are, and then you stay on your path. And then you get some of the other good side effects of manifestation, becoming a much stronger magnet. Yeah, you begin to think about things, and before you know it, they're right there in your face, and you're like, whoa, I literally thought about you yesterday, or I literally thought about this today. Is this really real? Can these synchronicities that are this obvious really be this real and just be happening like that? But again, it's a very subtle thing, and you have to have space around you to notice it. So it's true, what they say in the Disney films and different things, where they talk about listen to the voices all around you, listen to nature, listen to the words of music, our divine self as a projection of what's within us. It's a feedback loop, right? So there's not one thing that happens in our day that isn't a sign in some way, shape, or form. But we've got to be able to kind of silence the noise and really notice what's happening if we want to take stock of it in that way. Because I think there's lots of people that are guns-ho, yeah, I'm so enlightened and I feel great and I'm doing this every day and that every day and blah, blah, blah. And that's absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure that their alchemy and everything else is, popping off left, right, and center. If there isn't this moment of oh, what am I listening for, or what am I hearing right now that, is really the message for me right now? We don't take time to listen, then becomes more about doing than
Mhm.
settling in and allowing, you know?
Yeah,
I
that's
love
very
that
well
answer.
said.
Thank you.
That has been so true for me for a lot of my experience. It was more about doing than that slowing down and listening, you know. That was great. Very good point. And for me, I think for some reason over the last few years, the noises have gotten louder. Like all of the things that don't resonate are like, you know, something that just could have been a small, you know, issue. Like for me, like gluten, for example, as a kid, no issues with it. But like lately, it's just like if I eat one thing of gluten, my whole spine is going to inflame to the point where I feel death. So
Mhm.
but it's a blessing because it's allowed me to just get rid of all the things that are becoming too loud. And as a result, it's been good, you know?
Mm.
So I want to go back to something you said about getting in touch with that divine loving energy. So
Mm.
I think you said earlier that you have a practice to do this. Would you be
Mhm.
willing to show us this amazing practice?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's something that you'll probably be, and a lot of your um, followers will be familiar with anyway. It's the alternate nostril breathing. But I just added a little twist to it in my mind where I visualize light going from the heart to the brain on the inhale and from the brain to the heart on the exhale, so that you're really, because obviously where energy flows, where attention goes. So by bringing your attention to this circuit, you're helping with that kind of whole hemi-syncing. And in the sacred secretion, hemi-syncing is linked to the divine marriage. So the two hemispheres of the brain, or those two divine glands, the pituitary and the pineal, marrying up and helping to some of those amazing biochemicals to release. And of course, the heart is a big catalyst for that alchemical wedding. So do you want me to
Yeah,
start?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we'll do thumb and little finger poking out, and we'll start by inhaling for the count of 4 on the right hand side, and then we'll hold the breath at the top for the count of 4 and really visualize that light percolating while you're holding the breath in, and then we switch and exhale through the left. And as you hold the breath out for 4, you're going to really visualize the light percolating and marinating in your heart. And then we go up again the same side. So we inhale again on the left, hold it, exhale on the right, hold it, inhale on the right, hold it, exhale on the left, hold it. So it's basically like hold, up, across, down, hold, up, across, down. Is it better if I count it, or?
Oh, I think we have the explanation well, and then if you could just lead a few rounds, that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. So just take a couple of breaths to just settle in for a second. Visualize your intention of surrendering into the heart space. Seeing the body come into balance. Helping your body to do its wonderful automatic processes of healing and enlightenment. And then we'll start with an inhale through the right. Hold at the top. See the light in the center of your head. Exhale left. Hold at the bottom. See the light in your heart. Inhale through the left. See the light in your mind. Exhale through the right. See the light in your heart. Inhale through the right. See the light shining in your mind's eye, filling your brain, seeping down through your body. Exhale through the left. See the light falling back into your heart, radiating out. Inhale through the left. See the light in the mind's eye, filling you up. Exhale through the right. See the light shining wider, brighter, all around the heart and the back of the heart space. Inhale through the right. Bring the light back up to the mind. Hold your breath. See that light percolating, shining bright. Exhale through the left. And just continue at your own pace. Really draw in as much breath as you can each time. Drink it in like a cool glass of water, filling you up. Just complete the round that you're on. And on your next inhale, just hold your breath and squeeze your root lock, which is your perineum, your anus, and your stomach muscles in and up. Don't let go of a drop of your breath. See the energy rising through your body, swirling all through your heart and being received by the brain. And when you can't hold your breath any longer, just let your breath out as slowly as you can. And just for a few moments, bask in the energy that you've created. There's nothing to your left, nothing to your right, nothing behind you, nothing in front of you. Just you, free to smile, to feel blessed, to know that everything's working it out itself for your highest good, to feel love for yourself freely. Self implies other, so loving yourself isn't always about the ego. It can be about learning how to love others as well. Just feel into that heart space. Feel the vibration of your heart in all the different parts of your body. Can you feel it behind your eyes? Can you feel it in your fingers? The very pulse, the very vibration of life. And then think of someone or something that makes you smile. Bring your heart to your heart center, your hand, sorry. Bring that smile down into your heart. That love, that gratitude, that sense of wholeness and relief. See it growing, filling every cell and atom of your being. Expanding out around you. And when you're ready, open your eyes.
That was so lovely. Thank you so much.
Best
You got
interview ever.
You have to come back with us because
Yeah.
great words now, but I know we have so much more that we could talk to you about.
Yeah. So how can our followers support you? If there's anything we can help you with, we would love to.
My YouTube channel is just my name, Kellie Marie Kerr. That's probably the easiest way, actually. My books are all under that name. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. That was so cool. And we definitely would love to have you back on.
Yes. Thank you.
I'd love to come back.
Yeah. Thank you for just actually living your life in a brave way so that you could share this, because this is so cool. And I hope more and more people can really learn how to unite the teachings of Christ and then all the wisdom of yoga and then all of the science that you bring to it too. It's so cool.
The energy
Thank
of the
you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Sending love to everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
This interview is part of our 30-day Heart Coherence Challenge.
During these challenges, we send you a heart coherence meditation every day for 30 days, each designed to bring powerful healing benefits.
Throughout the event, we also release incredible interviews with guest speakers who inspire and uplift, like the one you're listening to right now.
If you would like to join a future challenge, go to www.heartcoherencecollaborative.com and register now. The link is in the description.
We're sending you love and hope you join us for the next challenge.
We
love you.